Imagine this. A new law. It's designed for your safety. It gets the green light from the highest court, but then suddenly it's put on hold. That's the paradox, the real puzzle we're looking into today.
It's a fascinating situation.
Yeah, we're heading to Kerala in India to unpack their new rule about police clearance certificates, PCCs, for private bus drivers and their crew. Our mission here is to get under the hood, really understand the safety crisis that kicked this all off, the big legal fight that happened, and, well, this unexpected political pause that's left a court-approved measure just waiting.
Exactly. And it really shines a light on how policies, even those with the best intentions, like saving lives, can get tangled up. You've got state power, individual rights, the economy of it all clashing.
It really might make you look differently at how laws go from paper to practice. There are some surprising details in here.
Absolutely. It's about that tricky balance between keeping people safe and, people needing to make a living.
So let's start with why this was needed. Because before this PCC rule, Kerala had a really serious road safety problem with private buses.
The numbers are quite sobering.
They really are. Between 2023 and 2025, just 2 years, 1,017 accidents involving these buses.
1,017? That's almost an incident every other day.
Exactly. Think about that. Each one a potential tragedy. It wasn't just data. It felt like a constant risk for people there.
And understandably, this created huge public pressure. People wanted action. In fact, the Kerala State Human Rights Commission stepped in so motu, basically. They started investigating on their own initiative.
Without waiting for a formal complaint.
Precisely. They demanded stricter measures against reckless driving. And, this PCC rule wasn't happening in isolation.
Right, as part of a bigger package.
Yeah, a systemic overhaul. Things like mandatory cameras inside the bus's front, rear, interior, even driver fatigue sensors.
Wow, fatigue sensors too?
Yes, and geofencing to track routes. And it wasn't just private buses. They extended this to school bus drivers as well. So a pretty broad effort.
Okay, so you have this urgent backdrop, this push for systemic change. The rule gets formalized by the State Transport Authority, the STA, in January 2025. Then there's another circular in April. How did the bus operators take it?
Well, not surprisingly, there was pushback. A group of operators, including the Travel Operators Association of Kerala, TOCAC, they mounted a legal challenge.
On what grounds?
Their main argument was that it violated the fundamental right to an occupation. That's Article 19(1) of the Constitution.
The right to work, essentially.
Yes. And they also raised practical concerns. Like, they said even just being involved in a case without a conviction could get a driver disqualified.
I can see how that would worry them.
And the fact that these PCCs were only valid for 6 months, meaning a constant renewal burden.
So a constitutional challenge and practical difficulties. How did the court see it?
The Kerala High Court, Justice C.P. Mohammed Nias presiding, came down firmly on the government's side. The ruling called the PCC requirement a reasonable restriction on that fundamental right.
Reasonable because?
Because of the overwhelming public interest in stopping these accidents, public safety was paramount. The court also confirmed the STA had the authority under the Motor Vehicles Act. Section 68 gives them broad regulatory power.
And the operator's practical arguments.
The court basically dismissed those as hyper-technical.
Hyper-technical, meaning like focusing too much on minor legal details instead of the bigger safety picture.
That's the gist of it, yeah. So legally, a clear win for the rule.
Okay, so you'd think court says yes, safety demands it, case closed, right?
You would think so, but this is where the real-world complexities kick in.
Right, because despite that clear legal backing, enforcing the rule, well, it got paused, temporarily suspended.
The industry resistance was intense. Operators, trade unions, they talked about a major hiring crisis. They feared massive job losses, potentially affecting almost 40,000 employees.
40,000, that's a huge number.
It is. And there were claims, like from Tico Panathan of the All Kerala Bus Operators Organization, that police were denying PCCs for things completely unrelated to driving safety. Like what? Like, say, old family property disputes, or even just participating in trade union protests. Things that arguably shouldn't disqualify someone from driving a bus.
Okay, that adds another layer. Concerns about arbitrary enforcement.
Exactly. So, faced with all this pressure, including the threat of a statewide bus strike,
which would cripple transport.
Absolutely. The government blinked. After a meeting with the transport minister, KB Ganesh Kumar, they agreed to, and I quote, defer the requirement for police clearance certificates for bus employees by 1 more month.
So a deferral. A pause button pushed, essentially, because of the practical and political heat.
Precisely. It shows how even a legally sound, safety-focused policy can hit roadblocks when it meets economic fears and political reality.
So this whole deep dive, it really lays bare how a policy designed to save lives, backed by the courts, ends up caught in this web. You've got the state's authority, the industry's bottom line, political maneuvering, public safety needs, all pulling in different directions.
It's a classic case study, really.
It leaves you wondering then, when public safety, clear law, and the livelihoods of thousands are all in conflict, what actually tips the scales? What ends up being the deciding factor?
And perhaps more broadly, what does this episode tell us about actually implementing laws meant for the common good when the real world pushes back?